I think that there is a very simple question on people's minds. Silksong Wen. Yes, I think that this is probably the most important question that people have about this channel since the announcement of Silksong's release date only a few weeks ago. In some ways, unfortunately for Yorkshire and I, Team Jerry managed to pick the least opportune moment possible for the release of Silksong, as Yorkshire T and I will be in Japan for the next 3 weeks. This of course left us with a dilemma: play Silksong now, and potentially try and get enough recordings in place so that there wouldn't be a gap while we were in Japan, or wait until we returned. And when we put this little dilemma to a vote, it fairly resoundingly came back with the opinion that we should wait. We should buy our time and come back from Japan refreshed and ready to tackle Silksong. So that's exactly what we're going to do. T and I are going to be taking in the sights and sounds of Japan, and while we're there, T will start getting ahead of me in Silksong, so that as soon as we get home, I can dive into the game and T can resume his role as my erstwhile guide in the world of Silksong. But while we're there, we're also going to have a special guest on our trip, as Hornet herself will be joining us on our travels through Japan. The channel will hopefully update with adorable pictures and maybe a quick video or two of Hornet on her Japanese adventure to hopefully tide you over until the debut of the Silksong LP. As for dates, the LP will begin on November the 3rd, 2025 with episode 1, but I will probably have a sneak preview episode of episode 0 on the 31st of October. This will act as a little bit of a recap on my adventures through Hollow Knight, and hopefully will involve T and I discussing a little bit about what Hollow Knight and Silksong mean to us. It's important to note that advanced episodes for YouTube members will begin on November 3rd, the same time as episode 1. So if you're really enthusiastic about the channel and the LP, then please do toss us $1 there. But in the meantime, I, as you can see, have briefly dipped my toes into the start of the game, as some viewers were interested in a preview of sorts where I just gave quick opinions on what I'd seen of the early parts of the game. Don't worry, I haven't played far at all, I've only really felt out how Hornet feels to control. And I'm glad to say that things haven't really changed. She feels really good, and this really has the vibe of the same game that I left off 4 years ago. Of course, that doesn't mean I haven't noticed a couple of changes that definitely warrant a few comments. The most major ones centre around Regeneration and Pogo. We'll talk about the first and the second, as I am wont to do. So let's talk about Regeneration. Right now, it seems like Hornet is only able to regenerate 3 masks or none at all, reducing the halfway house options that the Knight had available in Hollow Knight. This is interesting because it potentially weakens the player's ability to heal during fights, and adds a further wrinkle when we start thinking about spellcasting and how the Knight used to spend soul in order to deal damage. If Hornet's abilities and spells are tied to her health and regeneration in the same way that soul was, the lack of this halfway house is potentially going to make it harder to use these things in a way that is productive, because you lose the ability to moderate between the offensive power that spells and abilities give you against the defensive power that having regeneration will provide for you as well. By the end of Hollow Knight, I had a really good feel of where that equilibrium lay for me, and so a change like this is going to require a lot of adapting, but I'm really interested in seeing how that goes. I think what probably will be more controversial is Hornet's dive kick. This is the change to pogoing, where the Knight used to pogo simply by hitting below him and bouncing around. Hornet now has a dive kick that carries her forward and diagonally downwards. This is really interesting to me, because if somebody has completely mastered this ability, it carries significantly more ability for Hornet to be able to control her movement through her surrounding. However, it is much more difficult to execute to that level of perfection. You'll see me in this video attempting repeated dive kicks on enemies, and I'm not able to do it easily, despite the fact that I think that I'm quite good at the original Hollow Knight and quite good at pogoing within that game. It isn't clear to me whether this represents genuinely more difficulty, or simply the friction in learning a new system. I was by no means a Pogo master at the beginning of Hollow Knight, and this could be exactly the same. Unfortunately, the only way to find out is by playing a lot more Silksong, which I don't have the luxury of doing. But I remain confident in Team Cherry's vision, and I'm excited to see if I can master this new skill. Those are my thoughts right now. There isn't much, I haven't played much by intent. But regardless, it's with great anticipation and excitement that I look forward to exploring the world of Silksong with you and with Yorkshire Team. And hopefully I can count on seeing all of you here on November 3rd for Let's Play Hollow Knight Silksong Blind. Thanks very much, and I'll see you then.